Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. UFC Vegas 76. We have a top 15 fighter, arguably top 10 fighter right here in Sean Strickland. And he is, listen, man, he's taking a big risk against Magomedov. You know, there's some crazy statistic out there where they say any MMA fighter with the name Magomedov, crazy high winning percentage, just like throughout the history of these fighters. We'll see if that comes to fruition this weekend. But breaking it down with me, as always, is my co-host, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native himself, the man who's coming off of his 5th undefeated week, I guess you want to call it, this year. My man, I know you feeling good coming down from that high. How are things shaping up for you?
Woo, Derick, I'm feeling great. Like you said, brother, 5 times going unblemished on the predictions. Folks, but I can't lie to you, there's a little bit of luck. There's a little bit of a finger in an eye in one of those, but I'm still counting it either way because, man, it is a crazy sport. We're over here trying to predict. So if you're rocking with my picks, folks, you're welcome. Make sure you drop it in the comments right there because if you're rocking with us, I know you're making some money, so let everybody else know. I'm feeling good about it, Derick. I'm ready to keep going, keep that foot on the gas pedal. I'm telling you, I'm not letting you catch me again for another year, brother. I want my gold belt. So I'm coming for you still, brother. How you feeling, man? Good to get back over here.
Well, listen, man, I want to feel lucky. How about that? You know what they say, sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good. And sometimes you need to stray on that, just kind of on that rein. I will say this, though. Let's take a look at the scoreboard, folks. Head-to-head competition. We have about 6 months left in the year with a halfway mark. 65, 38, and 2 from my man AJ, firmly in the lead. 58, 45, and 2 for yours truly. What does this mean? That means it's not really that far apart, my man. This weekend might shake some things up. Spoiler alert. I'll save that for another time. Folks, if you have not subscribed to the program yet, I'm going to ask you to do us a solid. Hit the subscribe button. No, smash the subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And AJ, before we move on, let's just have a quick aside in regards to our life experience outside of doing this gig that we love, right? I have buddies come up to me and say, hey, you know, you heard of this video? Check this guy out. And then you'll see some of my like jiu-jitsu buddies will be like, oh, dude, I train with that guy. That's the Bloody Water Podcast. You've had some similar things. Talk to the people about some of your experiences.
Folks, just chilling out random in the wild like we're back in the 70s. No, we're joking. Playing, honestly, throughout the times, just at the pools, at social events, some stuff like that. People walk in, shouting out. I'm trying to, give the shameless promotion of the Bloody Water Podcast, and they'll jump in. Hey, yeah, I've watched y'all. Oh, that's you guys? So we do love and appreciate y'all, man. If you're out there, like I said before, post it in the comments, hit the like button, smash the subscribe, and share with your friends. There's only one way to grow your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, and it's also winning that money the same way. So make sure you hit that.
This is a grassroots program right here. Word of mouth is everything. So the point of bringing this up, I guess I should say, is not like the braggadociousness. Rather, it's just to say that as a community, we're growing and people are recognizing it. And if you want to be a part of this community, just like AJ said, drop a comment, interact with us, hit up my man AJ on Discord, or excuse me, on Twitch. There we go, not Discord. Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. You know what I'm saying? Do some of that stuff, and then we're looking forward to really growing this community. So all of the sappiness aside, folks, we're here to talk about some fights. So let's get it, man. Bring it up on the screen. Listen, AJ, Bloody Water Podcast consensus picks. You already know what time it is. Let me take this off the screen and let's shape it up real quick. All right, Bloody Water Podcast consensus picks are as such. Bruno Ferreira came onto the scene, splashed onto it with a big knockout against Gregory Rodriguez. I'm just going to call my man, his opponent, Nursultan. I'm just going to say that because that last name is a little bit of a rough one. Ruziboev. All right, I butchered it enough. AJ, in one sentence, why do you like Ferreira?
Woo, man. Burst onto the scene is an understatement, Derick. I would say exploded, and that's how this guy fights. Explosive all day long, a lot of power. This guy brings the fun, Derick.
That's right. Ismail Bonfim, one of the Bash Bros, not the Bash Bros, the Bonfim Bros. This is the new set of brothers on the scene. He's got Benoit Saint Denis, and this is going to be a fun matchup. I'll just tell you what, these Bonfim Bros are absolutely no joke. We'll talk about it more further. And then, AJ, we got one more. Melissa Gatto versus Ariane Lipski. This is going to be a very, very fun women's contest right here. We got a pure striker who is catching her groove in Lipski, and then we got Melissa Gatto, good striker, trying to improve a little bit, nasty jiu-jitsu. In a sentence, what do we like about Gatto? That's the pick.
Yeah, Derek, I like the new style that Gatto's bringing. I think she's the future of the divisions coming forward, and that same kind of brutish style she has. Like you said, the striking needs a little bit developed, but we'll see how it squares off against the Queen of Violence.
And if you want to hear about some of our contentious picks, well, tune in, folks. We'll talk about it in 1 second. Last alert, subscribe if you have not yet. Share the show with a friend. Hit up AJ on Twitch at twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber, and hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/D496. _ There we go, at D496, whatever you want to call it. All right, folks, let's talk about some fights. Let's talk about this main event. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, brother, this is a big risk, but we know Sean Strickland is a very risky guy. And apparently the narrative was my man wanted a fight. And the UFC was like, well, we don't got nothing for you. Middleweight top 10 is pretty much booked up. So when Sean Strickland says, give me a 205 fight, I don't care, I want to fight somebody, they said, how about you take a back seat? This is your option, take it or leave it. And in the fight game, man, you got to remember, these are these people's jobs. So they said, oh, I want a paycheck. Let's get it. Abu, let's get it, Magomedov. And I think Strickland has a very tough competitor on his hands this weekend. But my question to you, really starting off the back, AJ, is that what is the bigger risk for, man? Is it for Abu Magomedov? Like, it's kind of no risk here. He kind of just gets his crack at the top 15. Or is it Sean Strickland, right? Like the risk factor, not just the rankings, but skill set for like someone being exposed here. Who's at higher risk?
That's an interesting one, Derek, because the risk for the exposure of the skill set, I don't think is much of a concern for Strickland. We all know he's down to sit there, swing his hands, get into an absolute brawl of a fight. This guy will bring the fight to your front step. In fact, he'll bring it all the way to the back. Like, this guy is down for the scrap. Now, Abus has the same thing. He's not so much researched, if you will. There's not too much fight news on him. He's still kind of getting in that groove. So it's a little more risky if he does get exposed there. But I think the contentious wise, or the thing that matters most right here is that ranking, is Sean Strickland falling into obscurity and becoming just a voice that's chirping in the background, saying some obscene things and not really getting it done with his hands anymore. I mean, that's going to be the big factor. If Sean Strickland can come out and put it to this dude that has no real like grounds to really stand on, if you will, it just proves that Sean Strickland's a real deal. Now, that being said, Abus comes in. This guy has great striking, Derek. I love his kicks the most, man. This guy's long, lanky. We saw in his last fight was Dustin Stoltzfus, where he front kicked him in the face. Anytime you can land that at distance, it's very beautiful. I think it's right there a little bit more. It's leaning towards the Sean Strickland side has a lot more at risk right here. What about you?
Yeah, the narrative is all about Sean Strickland is making a risky move. That's what I opened the show up. Hey, risky move for the top 15 guy. But I personally think stylistically, I'm talking about the inside, right? I'm talking about the mentality, the ego. Risk-wise, I actually think this is a bigger risk for Magomedov. This is a big step up in competition right here, man. You went from Dustin Stoltzfus, and I'm not talking about all his prior experience. He's a very tenured guy. But you're talking about you went from Dustin Stoltzfus to Sean Strickland. In terms of UFC jumps, bro, your vast majority of experience is outside the UFC. You got some PFL stuff, might have some like KSW stuff or whatever, right? But it's like Sean Strickland is a guy who they gave to Alex Paeta as the gatekeeper for the championship, right? So when it comes down to that, I think that Magomedov really needs to lean down on his full experience as a mixed martial artist, not just a striker. Don't fall into the trap that everybody else does and they get lulled into just a straight boxing match with Sean Strickland. How did that work out for Jared Cannonier? He won, but his stock, I think, actually lowered after that fight because a lot of people thought Sean Strickland won. So let's talk about that aspect of it. Sean Strickland, 5-round fighter. I mean, look at the pedigree, man. If we're looking down, we got 4 5-round fights in his last 10. Abus Magomedov, this is a man who gets people out of there quickly. So, given their styles, if Sean Strickland can weather the early storm similar to how he did against Nasruddin Imavov, I mean, what are the chances for Magomedov to really pick up a win here if it hits round 3, 4, 5?
Ooh, they look, the slimmer it gets, the longer the fight goes, Derek. I mean, yeah, you want to talk about the 4 fights of Sean Strickland, but also he's most comfortable in that dog fight. So if hands are flying, he's sitting there, he's happy, he's chirping, he's talking, he's doing his thing, he's getting down. And one of the scariest parts about Sean Strickland, one of the things I like most, the less he cares and the less research is out there for him to kind of analyze and get lost in that kind of mumbo jumbo, the better fighter he is, bro. When he just shows up like it's a barnyard brawl and he's just there to swing, this dude performs to one of his highest potentials. Now, like, it's going back to what you said. Can he avoid that first round and a half, that 8 minutes or so? Like, can he get past that mark? We've seen him at the chin, unless you have just a stick of dynamite like Alex Paeta. Does Magomedov have that? I don't really think so yet. I mean, we'll see. Like you said, the leap to Dustin Stoltzfus to Sean Strickland isn't massive, but it is a pretty fat leap. Don't get me wrong. And we saw him do some work to Stoltzfus, but I think the mentality that Sean Strickland brings to this fight is a whole nother level for it, man. He's in the fight always.
Yeah, and brother, I'm a big Stoltzfus fan. Like, since he jumped on the scene, even though he did my boy Joe Pyfer dirty, I'm still a big fan, right? But if you have to just be realistic about it, man, like, here, let me just pull this off the screen real fast. If we're being realistic, this is your big win, your big UFC entry win, is against a guy who picked up, what, one win and 4 losses in the UFC. So it's not like anything disrespectful against him. Like, I do think he's a very talented fighter. It's just pedigree, man. I mean, this is Sean Strickland. This is a different cat that we're talking about. Let's also mention this, because I'm going to be honest, AJ, I don't have too much to talk about this matchup, because I do think that this is a very classic Sean Strickland hand fight, boxing heavy, takedown defense, sprawl and brawl type of cat, right? Versus Abus, who is heavy, deep kick, big shots, everything explosive, right? Look at a lot of the guys that Magomedov has wins against. And I'm not trying to, draw any conspiracies here, but if you dive deep, man, I'm going to pull up a couple of examples. And I hope you don't mind here, AJ, because Magomedov is an interesting character. So when we pull up his record, right, you'll see lots of finishes, first round, second round, whatever the case may be. Look at Sadbu Sai, right? That one aged fantastic. Sai was not the fighter that he is today back when this fight took place, so that's neither here nor there. This is what I want to show you. You don't have to go that far deep into the archives, man, but you look at some of these guys. For an example, let's pull up this guy right here. Well, let's look at that. 42-38 of a record, right? And my man is 35 years old. All right, there's that. If we pull up another example, let's just pull up the one underneath it. 20-40-1. Okay, well, age 42 years old. If you look at a couple recent, let me pull up something more recent, right? For an example, this fellow right here. 13-3. This was an undefeated fighter, I think, when he got the win on him. Yeah, that's right. So this is a good win. He finished him. This guy was undefeated at the time that they had fought. But let's pull up this one right here. All right. This is recent, bro. 40-59. This is kind of my point. I mean, brother, like, come on. So this is my point right here against Magomedov. It's like, yes, does he have a lot of experience? Absolutely, right? This dude is a tenured fighter, and fight experience is fight experience. I don't care who you're fighting against. But Sean Strickland has pretty much same experience against, like, all high-level guys, right? I'm talking about you came in to the UFC like on smash mode against killers already. You fought the Kamaru Usmans, you fought Paeta, you fought Cannonier, you fought all the best guys, pretty much. So factoring all that long aside that I just gave you in there right here, why should the masses, aside from you can knock Sean Strickland out, like why should they be excited about Magomedov picking up a win here?
Oh, picking up a win. Why should they be excited for him? I think that goes down to this is another guy just taking out the old school, if you will, the one-dimensional fighters, the people that are just classically bringing a thing to you and never really changing or adapting. A boost, like you said, as much as that might be, some would consider an inflated ego or an inflated record. It's a little concerning for sure, but this is the kind of moment where he gets to actually prove this guy's a real deal. We saw a flash in the pan in the Dustin Stoltzfus fight, but if he comes in and does the same thing to Sean Strickland now, that's going to be a lot tougher of a challenge. Then we're really talking about discrepancies because that's just the younger class catching up to the newer one. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think he has a little bit of an option because Sean Strickland invites in the chaos. So if Sean Strickland's willing to do it, willing to put himself in that dangerous position, which he is, which you know he is, that's when a boost has the best thing. But if this is a clinic, if this is a touch him up and then not just be touched, dip him out, and literally this is the Sean Strickland 101, it's going to be hard to beat him. I won't lie.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fair take when you really break it down like that. So at the end of the day, man, that's really all I had to bring up. You have experience versus the new gun. Let's not forget, Sean Strickland is a BJJ black belt, and this dude was a very heavy jiu-jitsu guy before he got his face smashed in by Kamaru Usman. But with that being said, man, I like Sean Strickland here, and I think if track record shows, you got to go with the decision. I think it makes the most sense. I think he'll be there when Magomedov, when he wants to wrestle, because Magomedov does have a grappling background. I think it'll just be too little too late. I see this playing out very similar to the Nasruddin Imavov fight personally. So give me Sean Strickland plus 210 decision. How do you see it, AJ?
Yeah, I like Sean Strickland in the decision, Derek. I'm going to take, folks, I'm prefacing this, I'm taking a bit of a long shot here. Not saying Sean Strickland can be or won't be knocked out. Not saying he can't be knocked out. But that's what I'm going with because this is probably the only route, or at least the less dangerous route for a boost to get the win right here. Give me a boost Magomedov by TKO. Who round one early?
Round
He's gonna have to get
one,
it done early, brother. I don't
that's
think he's.
right.
I mean, this, like I said, it's a long shot, but that's his best shot to get it done.
That's right. All right. Well, that's your main event right there, folks. And with that being said, let's take a jump on over to the co-main. All right, AJ, Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. Now, let's be honest right here, man. This is not an easy fight to pick. This is one of the most high-level fights that you're going to see, but I do think that it makes all the sense in the world why Damir Ismagulov is a -120 favorite, at least at open, ranked number 12 in the world, coming off of a loss to Arman Tsarukyan, which was like a close loss, but it was only 3 rounds, so it was what it was. He did have that split decision win against Guram Kutateladze, so it's like things are shaping up good for Ismagulov, man. This dude is really good, and we all know that. But I think that his level of talent is actually just kind of outshining what Grant Dawson has to offer. And I'm not going to lie to you, AJ, at this line right here, I think Grant Dawson is one of the biggest dogs on the card because whether you like him or not, whether you like his style or not, I think one thing rings true about Grant Dawson is that he just finds a way to win. Always. Like, look at his record, 19-1-1. This dude finds a way to win. So why are people so high here on Damir Ismagulov, aside from just the fact that he's a fantastic talent? Like, why are they excited about him in this matchup against a killer like Grant Dawson?
I think they're excited about Ismagulov because he's kind of that flashy striking that we've seen handle somebody else in the instance in which he did with Tsarukyan. He put up a great fight and he did a lot of up and down. He had some control times, working his thing. This guy is kind of that presence. He looks like a long, lanky fighter. So he presents as this mean kind of striking fighter that's going to bring the pain. Now, like you said, his skill set is very, very high. And one of the things I'm glad you noticed, Derek, as much as Grant Dawson is that winning type, I think that all falls down to this guy knows how to game plan. Yeah. This guy knows how to game plan, knows how to stick to it, and knows how to win a fight. And you cannot replace that. That is imperative.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And that right there, the Grant Dawson mentality is a huge thing. Because when I saw this fight, Derek, it was -110 apiece. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see those odds swell a little bit.
Well, these were the opening odds. Now it's a pick 'em. Oh. Now live odds are -110 a pop. I was going to bring that up, but no, keep going. That's a good point.
Yeah. And seeing that swell, I think a lot more of the actual know-it-alls or the know-hows are starting to bet on Grant Dawson because this dude is very tactfully sound. Whereas, like I was saying before, Ismagulov is a little bit more flash in the pan, if you will. Not necessarily a bad thing if you're able to keep that flash going. Do you think he can do that in this kind of fight against a very technical Grant Dawson?
It's not going to be easy, and even Grant Dawson is saying that. He's like, this is going to be a tough fight, bro, and I honestly don't think I'll finish him. I think it's going to be a 3-round war, and I'm like, yeah, it takes a little bit of confidence to even say something like that, not just, I'm going to smash him. You're like, no, realistically, this is going to be a tough guy. I think that the biggest difference between these fighters in terms of like an advantage is Damir Ismagulov. If he can keep this standing, he wins this fight, bro. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I think he absolutely just kind of dominates and makes Grant Dawson look a little not of his talent level on a strictly stand-up fight. But how easy is it going to be to do that? Because Grant Dawson will exhaust himself for 15 minutes because this is a 3-round fight. All 15 minutes, his takedown percentage might be 6%, but he'll keep shooting. But here's the problem. What happens when Grant Dawson just stumbles into a spot where he takes your back, controls you for the round, and now Ismagulov, all of a sudden you're down 2 rounds and you got to do something? Like, what happens then? Because Grant Dawson has that capacity. I just think a lot of people aren't thinking that he'll get there.
Yeah, you're right, Derek. And that's a scary thing about Grant Dawson is when he's in control, he is fully in the driver's seat. This dude knows where to go and can cut you off as you're even thinking about doing stuff. If you're able to do it to Marco Manson, an Olympian, nonetheless, a lot of the other fighters he's comfortable there. Mm-hmm. It speaks levels to where this guy is. And I think that's why we're seeing the odds kind of shift right there. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I actually think this fight's a lot closer. So when I saw your pick, my pick, I was like, okay, here we go. Because this is one of those ones that's a battle back and forth.
This is one of those fights where I say it's easy to just say Ismagulov. Oh, yeah. But Grant Dawson, like I said, this is one of those spots where a 19-1-1 fighter, I can't tell you the last time that the man lost a fight, and he's plus money. Like, that's one of those where it's just like everything I'm seeing and the line doesn't quite add up, right? Now, also take this into consideration. Damir Ismagulov did have a little bout of, oh yeah, I'm retiring and I'm done. So there was like 1 foot out the door type talk. I factor all of that stuff in when you're handicapping a fight. The external does matter to a degree, but this is the biggest part where I have to say, if I'm a bettor, you kind of got to lean Ismagulov. Just hit list in the last 5, man. Ismagulov, Joel Alvarez, Thiago Moises, Rafael Alves, Guram Kutateladze, Armin Sarukian. You fought dudes who can all strike and grapple at an insanely high clip. Now, Grant Dawson, Marco Madsen, all right, you got an Olympian right there, right? Shout out. Jared Gordon, Ricky Glenn, which was a very controversial fight because Glenn came back strong in the end, but Leonardo Santos, where he lost that fight until he won in the last like 5 seconds. And then those are the only like real notable names. You got Mike Trezano, Julian Erosa. Those are the only other names. But hit list, you got to go Damir Ismagulov. Odds-wise, AJ, what do you see here prop-wise that speaks to you?
Ooh, for the Ismagulov corner.
Either.
Man,
Yeah.
I like the TKO for Ismagulov because that's how he's going to have to catch Grant Dawson slipping. But if you're going Dawson's side, submission, decision, both of those are looking a little juicy. Which one to you?
I really do like that Damir Ismagulov plus 650 TKO because I think if he can put Dawson in a position to panic wrestle and then club and sub or just like, you know what I mean, smash style TKO, get the finish, like I think that's a real possibility. But cat out the bag, I like Dawson in this fight. I'm going Dawson, and I think plus 190 decision, man. There's a reason why Damir Ismagulov has only lost twice in his career, and one of them was against Armin Sarukian after like an 18-fight win streak. So give me Grant Dawson, give me decision. Easier said than done, but we'll see who comes out on top. How do you see it?
Yeah, Derek, I'm taking that juicy 650. Give me Damir Ismagulov. Give me a TKO and give me a late TKO. This one has potential for Friday night as well as a couple other, man. I'm excited to break this down. But like I said, 650 TKO round 3, Damir Ismagulov.
This is going to be such a high-level co-main event, folks. Do not miss this one, for sure. All right, moving right along. Max Payne Griffin against Michael Morales, man. And this has got like a tough theme to it, right? This is the young dog in Morales versus the grizzled old vet in Max Griffin. Even though he don't look like it, Max Griffin damn near 40 years old, bro. But he is a sharp 40-year-old who I think, at the end of the day, man, you came off of a Legends tour. You beat up all the old guys and whatnot, right? Not all of them. You did just lose to Neil Magny. But, you're kind of getting Song Kanan, Carlos Condit, Neil Magny, all those guys, right? Now, Michael Morales, man, this is a dude where I think he's not raw as a prospect. I think he's very talented. We've both been very high on this guy. But I think this is one of those spots where experience is going to play a vital factor because Michael Morales has one tendency that I don't like about him, but it works. And he has that Dusko tendency a little bit. I feel disrespect. We shouldn't even say that about Dusko anymore, but his chin is sky high in some of these fights, man, where he's throwing the big combination, he's slipping out, and that chin is just hanging there. And you're like, ooh, Max Griffin, if there's one thing we know about him is he hits really hard, right? It might not seem like it, but he's digging in your calf, right? He's cracking you with a left hook, whatever the case may be. So in a pure striking matchup, do you think Max Griffin holds any edge against Michael Morales?
Yes, Derek. And it's in that strength you're talking about, in that power he has, and in how to know how to utilize his body. And that's what I was thinking about when going through this fight. Michael Morales, he not raw at all. Very polished fighter, but still kind of coming into his zone. I mean, what is he, 24? This dude's starting off at the peak. So he's starting to kind of learn this. Max Griffin, 37, has known it for a while. That experience speaks volumes. When you know how to use your body in the right kind of mannerisms, pick up the ticks that everyone else is doing. And like you said, when Morales does, he fights high, he fights long, but when he pulls back chin right up in the air. Max Griffin is one, he hits like a Mack truck. So if he's able to catch you on one of those, catch you on a pullback where he's entering and able to slip one in, it's going to be a rough fight. But if there's anybody that's game for it, Michael Morales is there to have a very fun fight. And that's what makes me most excited about this cat. Yeah, he's a young guy coming in, probably going to have to take his licks, probably going to have to take his, his lessons learned. But 14-0 coming into the UFC, this guy has a lot of hype and a lot of promise behind him. I'm excited to see this fight because it is very much the old dog taking on the new hungry up-and-comer.
And if, the Ultimate Fighter has been any indication, I think Chandler's team is like 6-0 versus McGregor, all the vets, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see how this one plays out. I will say one thing that's important to note about this fight is that Max Griffin is not just a striker. He's a very well-rounded fighter, and he can kind of take this fight wherever it goes, right? You got to kind of compound that with he's a durable guy, bro. Michael Morales, he wins against a lot of these guys using his length. And, like, fair play. You have it, use it. But if you're finishing guys round 1, round 2, all that, Max Griffin, I think he's been finished once in his entire career, one time. So that's kind of the point, is this man's fought, I mean, shoot, you got damn near 30 fights. You've been finished one time. I mean, Morales, you better have a full, well-rounded game plan to get this man out of here, because as an old veteran who's like in it, who's a little pissed off when he got the matchup, like as one of those guys, yeah, you got a tough fight incoming. However, if Michael Morales does get the win, how does he do it?
Ooh, I think he does it by decision, Derek. I think he outspeeds the older Max Griffin. He's able to just literally not get touched. Maybe it's a boring fight, or maybe someone would call it technical. There's a chess match going on. I think that's going to be the way. If you put yourself in danger with Max Griffin, you're going to be literally in pain. Like, this guy hits very hard. So I think he's going to have to win the footwork battle. What about you?
You know what? I'm going to take the opposite approach. I think if Morales wants to win this fight, he needs to finish Griffin. Because if you look at Griffin, vast majority of his wins are decisions, right? He's decisioning up. He knows how to win a 3-round fight. And I think when it gets to that midpoint of round 2, things could start swinging. I expect Morales to come out hot and to look really good at the jump. But it's not about how you do in the first 5 minutes. It's all 15, right? So I like Max Griffin here. I'm going to be boring again, unfortunately, and I'm going to take another decision. Plus 400 prop for Max Payne Griffin, the chiseled veteran who has fought some stout opposition. Give me that decision. How you see it?
Yeah, I'm going the same route, Derek, decision, but I'm actually going Morales on this one. Like I said, I think he's going to win the footwork battle and put on a performance right here.
You better just keep that chin tucked. That's all I got to say, man. Keep the chin tucked.
For real.
All right, brother. Fun women's flyweight matchup right here. Ariane Lipski coming off of a big win against JJ Aldrich. And Melissa Gatto, man, coming off of that loss to Tracy Cortez, where a lot of her hype kind of simmered down. You come off of a big win against Sijara Eubanks. You finish Sijara Eubanks, someone who doesn't really get finished. And then you lose to Tracy Cortez, who admittedly is a little out of the scene right now, so it's not weighed the same as it should, because Tracy Cortez is a hell of a fighter, so it's not a bad loss. But let me ask you this, perception-wise, doesn't it kind of feel momentum is on Lipski's side right now?
It does, Derek. It does, especially because Lipski was kind of in that funk, kind of in that up and down, that roller coaster. We didn't really know where she belonged in the mix and all that, kind of getting lost in obscurity, and then puts on a performance that was reminiscent of what she used to have. Now, if she can bring back that Queen of Violence nickname that she has in a girl, in Melissa Gatto, that's going to bring the fight. I mean, you look at how this girl fights, shoulders forward, classic, like Brazilian Mauler style. Queen of Violence is going to have her hands full. Do you think she's going to be able to put on the same kind of performance she did against JJ Aldrich, who admittedly was a little more favored in her style?
Well, it's just JJ Aldrich is so much more one-dimensional than Melissa Gatto, and it's just the style of fight, right? I thought JJ Aldrich, who's normally used to just dominating people with her grappling, I thought she'd be able to get it done. But what do you know? Lipski trained with at ATT or whatnot. He got some training with Amanda Nunez and learned how to stuff a takedown. That's what you need, right? But what about a Melissa Gatto who's down to sit and trade and bang? Even though Gatto does get hit, she's down to trade, she's down to swing. And I think what makes her dangerous is not just going to be a pure, like for JJ Aldrich, just kind of a pure, I'm trying to bully wrestle you, but some of the little trips and the little sweeps and throws of like judo, jiu-jitsu style. So for Melissa Gatto, that's where I think she's dangerous. However, AJ, this is the big key right here. If Gatto somehow underestimates Ariane Lipski and just says, oh, I'm just going to try to jiu-jitsu her and I'm on my back and I'm throwing up triangles, I feel like Lipski could feast in these spots. What do you think?
I agree, Derek, and that's the problem, or one of the catch-22s of how good Melissa Gatto is on the ground. Because you're right, she'll throw those legs up instantly. She'll be putting things in traps, laying the traps for you. But Ariane Lipski is a very skilled veteran fighter. I mean, 15-8, has a lot of fights under her belt, has seen a lot of those things already. And now coming up with momentum we're talking about on her side makes her just a little bit more dangerous because she is fighting. I mean, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was real big on Ariane Lipski. Like I said, kind of falling off, but now she's getting back. So if she can have that against Melissa Gatto, I think she has the potential at least to start raining down some bombs and get out and kind of force her back up into that, and using that energy that way in order for Gatto to deplete her energy reserves. Gives it the best chance. Do you see another route for Lipski to really get some damage here?
I think that if she, I think the biggest thing has been confidence for her, man. Like, she felt confident in her last fight, especially when you were able to stuff a couple of those takedowns. It was almost like she was able to sit down on her shots. That's the thing, is when you got somebody who's like a relentless wrestler, or somebody who's like mixing you up where they're striking and mixing the grappling in the same, you can't sit down on anything. You got to kind of be careful in that aspect, right? So it just depends on how Gatto decides to come out. Does she want to be heavy grappling off the jump? Because we already know that's there. When you know that's the game plan, you can't just straight ahead with it. You got to at least ease it in, right? So if Lipski could keep it on the feet, man, I think she could win this fight for sure. If she could sprawl and brawl, I think she could win this fight. But if she lets Gatto get into her bag and fight the way that she has, pretty much as more or less an undefeated fighter, which she was before the Cortez fight, if she fights with that vigor, that intensity, I think she gets it done, man. And what interests me is, look at the TKO prop. Plus 650 for Gatto, plus 1,300 for Lipski. Why do you think that is?
I think it's fully on perception that the bettors are seeing right here, Derek. Gatto fights, like I said, in that scary shoulders forward brawler kind of a style. She looks like she has a lot more power. Just even looking at the headshots right here, Derek, you think Gatto is much more of a fighter, where you think Lipski's cute, but it's not that exact way. It doesn't break down like that. Lipski has some hands. Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't say there's any value in a plus 1,300 coming from Lipski, but she can win this fight. She's not completely out of the water.
I do not think that this should be a lopsided type matchup right here. I think this is going to be fun. And I think in my head, this either plays out in a close fight until a finish or a 29-28. Either way, I'm going to go Gatto right here. And you know what, bro? I have to take a chance. I've been going all decisions here. Give me that plus 300 submission prop right there, bro. Like, I think that's the best path to victory right there. Is just utilize what you're good at. We know Lipski's got good takedown defense, but once you get her down, can she hang with a savage grappler like Gatto? I'm not sure. Give me submission. I want early round 3.
Yeah, Derek, I think that is the smartest pick, if you're putting money on this fight, I think that's the smartest way to go if you're looking for a prop bet. That's what I was thinking. I'm glad you took it. I'm going to hedge the show's bets a little bit so we can get better at our prop bets, brother. I'm going Gatto by decision. I think it's going to be either that long third round finish late in the round, or just an absolute 29-28 decision. Very close fight right here.
Fair. All right, let's move on to the next one. Bonfim, Ismael Bonfim versus Benoit Saint Denis. Fun lightweight matchup right here, bro. And honestly, this is a tale of two guys who should they be matched up right now? I think that's the big question. It's not a matter of are these guys good, but it's like, why don't you let these guys build up themselves in the UFC first? Denis, he's had more time. Arguably, obviously, right? Bonfim comes in, smashes Terrence McKinney, and finds himself in a spot where people are still talking about that finish today, right? And it's true, people are. I'm still talking about it. When I watch film, like, goddamn, how do you do that to Terrence McKinney? Did it look like an off night to you, or did it look like Bonfim is legitimately that guy?
I was thinking the same thing, Derek. T-Rex himself said he just wasn't feeling like himself. He wasn't fighting like it. And I agree. He was leaving punches out there. He was throwing big looping punches and leaving them instead of getting his guard back. And it was a weird thing to see. Like, I want to give the benefit of the doubt to T-Rex that it was an off night. But at the same time, you can't take anything away from the double knee, flying knee that hit the carotid artery and put him out, but also the timing on the big overhands that were coming from Bonfim. I remember if it was a right or a left, but that was the one that stunned T-Rex first, and then he was able to do it. So you can't discount the technique, the timing, and the skill that Bonfim presents. And this dude, bro, Bonfim is a savage. This is the fight, Derek, earlier I was talking about, also has a potential for fight of the night. This one has me very excited, man. It's wild that Benoit Saint Denis is that big of an underdog. I'm curious to see what the odds swell to right now. But Bonfim has a lot of hype behind him, but Saint Denis can bring the scrap, brother. I don't know if people have just forgotten about the was it the Gabriel Miranda fight with Benoit Saint Denis? It was. And Miranda admittedly was a late replacement, so he didn't have much time. But the tenacity that Saint Denis fights at is going to be insane. It's going to be fireworks when these two dudes close the ring, bro.
No, so you said everything that I could have said right there, man. Saint Denis does not need to be a plus 250 now, plus 260 at live odds underdog. He does not deserve to be that given his fight style. But there is one thing that I can say without a benefit of a doubt from watching just other tape on Bonfim, that I think there's a reason why he's a favorite, man. I think technically he has a higher proficiency in his technical abilities, but Benoit Saint Denis, what do they call him? Like the God of War or something like that? Like this dude has like a crazy nickname because when he goes out there, it's like life or death. Like he leaves it all out there. So there's something to be said, man. The best man does not always win on fight night. It's about sometimes who wants it more. But then if you're Corey Sandhagen, you say, well, sometimes both guys want it equally. And then it is about technical proficiency. And that's where I'm leaning in this one. It does seem to me like the Bonfim brothers are very, very motivated, especially with these big wins. Like now is the time we make the most of our opportunity. Can this be in any way, shape, or form, given Benoit Saint Denis' fight style and knowing that he's coming for blood, can this kind of be a smash spot for Ismail Bonfim and his walk forward, trap you in the corner, box you up methodology?
That's an interesting one, Derick. Especially if Bonfim is able to attack the ego and bravado, that kind of style that Benoit Saint Denis fights at. Because you got to be confident, just fully head first into war like he does. But if you're able to tag him up a little bit, slip, rip, get out of the way, come in back, you piece him up again. And this dude's thinking like, bro, I've hit him a couple times. He's not even blinking. Mm-hmm. It's demoralizing. So it could be, especially because Bonfim brings the same kind of energy. And we said it once on the show, Derick, we'll say it a million times. The way to beat up a bully is to bully them. And if Bonfim can do that, that's a smash spot all day long.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much how I see this fight. I don't see Benoit Saint Denis trying to wrestle. I know he can do it sometimes, and he's actually had success against some guys with the wrestling, bro. Yeah. But Bonfim, he's got some good submissions, man. He's got good anacondas, Kimura, stuff like that, where he can submit you off of his back. I don't anticipate that being the case. I think he's going to be confident, strong. I think he's going to be on the front foot, or at least try to be. And I think he gets Saint Denis out there in round 2, man. I think Saint Denis is just a little too willing to go out on his shield. Even though you look at his record, bro, 1 loss. It's not like this is a guy who just loses, but with his tenacity, I think that plays into the hands of Bonfim here. Give me second round TKO. How you see it?
I agree, Derick. Sorry for the voice crack right there, folks, but I like Denis as well. Oh, man, that plus 140 TKO sounds good. I think I'm going the TKO as well. Or did you go TKO, Derick?
I went TKO for Bonfim, not for Denis.
Yeah. I'm going Bonfim. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. Plus 140 TKO for Bonfim. Give it to me late, though. Round 3.
Round 3. All right. TKOs across the board, folks. There you have it. And to open us up, there's a reason this is the first matchup of the night. You got Bruno Ferreira versus Nursultan. I told y'all earlier, my man's got a little bit of a rough last name for me to pronounce, but this dude is good, and that's what you need to know, right? AJ, has anything popped off the screen in terms of film study for Nursultan?
Not much, Derick. This guy's a little hard to get a lot of tape off. He was like WFC, WEC. I forget where he was fighting out of before. So I had to just watch a couple clips. Clips. So not much, to be honest. And I know this was a late notice replacement fight. I think Bruno Ferreira was supposed to fight Abdul Razak Al Hassan, if I'm not mistaken, on that one, which that's a scrap right there. So I think there's a reason right here, Derick, why we're seeing a minus 110 TKO out of Ferreira.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just tell you guys one thing about Nursultan, man. This dude is really, really – he's one of those cases where you look at his age, he's 29 years old, and my man has like 45 fights on his record. Like, this dude fights a lot. Now, is this a little bit of a Abu Magomedov type situation? Yeah, kind of, right? However, this is one thing that you should know, man, is this dude is like, let's take a look. Actually, we're gonna go on a ride together, folks, because I think this is important for y'all to know that as like people who do our job where we try to handicap these fights and whatnot, and you get a late notice of replacement with a dude who you're like, who's this guy from? He's fought in Brave. WEF is probably what you were referring to, right? But if you look at just a lot of these fights, man, it's like he's finishing dudes, right? But, AJ, we like to do it here. We're going to bring it up. Let's look at a couple of these records. You know what I mean? It's like you have to take this stuff into consideration. 22-36 from my man right here. And these are just arbitrary. Like, these are random people I'm picking. 0-2. Look at that. All right. Well, we got some stout competition here. And these are all wins that I'm going off of too. 9-3. All right, we got a little something right there. Okay. And let me just pull up one more just for the sake of pulling it up. This was a 10-second knockout. 11-2. Artem, okay, not bad. Here's my point that I wanted to make here. These dudes have a lot of experience, and if you need to know one thing about Nursultan in a nutshell is that what he brings to the table in this matchup is grappling. That's what he brings to the table. Dude can have a wicked 3-round fight of just nonstop grappling, Kimura's off of his back, a bunch of just submissions off of his back. However, when you take a fight on short notice, AJ, there is one main compromise that you have to make. What is that compromise?
A weight cut, brother.
Not just that, but what it affects, which is your cardio. And to wrestle, I don't know if you guys know anything about wrestling, it takes a lot of cardio. So you got a guy like Bruno Ferreira who is like, I've been training for this fight, I'm ready. You shoot on me, yeah, you might control me the first round, but if I sprawl and I get away from any of these takedowns, I'm smashing your face in. And that's why I think we see that, I'm going to pull it back up again, -110 TKO prop for Bruno Ferreira. Like, this is one of those spots where it's a risky fight, but let's be real, bro. Nursultan on a full camp is a different fighter, I think, between these guys. What are the odds that, Nursultan can get the upset? What do you think?
Ooh, I think there's a reason they're both in that plus 160, 190. Not too many people know about him, but also Nursultan, he has that kind of nothing to lose mentality on this one, if you will. I mean, he's coming in against a very dangerous fighter, but a fighter who's going to be bringing the fight consistently forward. If he's able to drop down, get a leg, get something, get him to his spots, control him, we can see that going down. What's the odds on that happening, Derick? I'd say 4 out of 10.
Yeah, and here's the tough thing too, man, is that we've seen both guys perform very well and very not well. Like, Bruno Ferreira was getting pieced up against RoboCop until he just clipped him with that left hand. Like, he was getting pieced up. Now, I've seen fights, I was watching a lot of tape on Nursultan, man. I've seen fights where he looks like a world beater off of his back, submissions and all that. And then I've seen other fights where this dude is just getting mounted, arms trapped, looks like just doesn't want to be there on the mat. So it's just like, what fighter are we going to get from both of these guys? And if, like, we get Nursultan at his best, this is a very competitive fight. If we get Bruno Ferreira at his best, though, this is going to be a short night. You know what I mean? So you got you got pretty much, let me see. Because for Nursultan, 20 wins by submission, 12 by TKO. And then for Bruno Ferreira in his very short career, it's like almost all finishes. Here's the problem. Both these guys finish everybody in the first and second round, too. So it's like, if both these guys gas out, this might just turn into a weird fight. But I like Bruno Ferreira. I think it's obvious. Should I even say it? TKO, round 1. Like, what are we talking about? What do you think?
It's like death and taxes, Derick. Bruno Ferreira, round 1, TKO.
That's it. All right. This one was more of it's not an easy one to call because, like we said, when you have an unknown, that's what makes everything difficult. An unknown on short notice is even more difficult. But, folks, we have handicapped those fights there for you. That's it. That's the main card right there. And, of course, now we can't just leave you with the top dogs on the program. We have to talk about some of the lesser-known names, the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow. I'm talking about the miraculous golden voice of Bobby King Gring announcing some sleepers, baby. Let's get it.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, my man. 60-second bar pitch. Why should we be watching some of these sleepers? And AJ, because I know who the sleepers are before we announced it. Folks, these aren't sleepers, but these are going to be your sleepers for this card. If you all are sleeping on these fighters, y'all should have been woke up a long time ago. AJ, kick us off. You got my man, Guram Kutateladze. Somehow, some way, they just threw him on the prelims. They're like, all right, bro, go do your thing. Here's a fight. Short notice. Talk to the people.
This one, Derick, you're right. Guram Kutateladze. If you know fighting, you know this dude's name. It's hard to read. It's hard to forget. But he's a very skilled fighter. But what I like right here, Derick, he's going up against an unknown, or a lesser known, I should say, who's also a finisher. You can see it right there. Has the W in the UFC as his entrance, but it was a split decision. Elvis Brenner knows how to get into the fight where he's most beneficial, where the fight's most beneficial for him. Where Guram Kutateladze, this dude might be a smash spot for this fight right here. So, folks, this one, what I'm expecting is violence out the gate. Guram Kutateladze, you can see it right there, 96%. Nobody has any faith in Brenner, but that might stir up the underdog. I like the TKO that is going to be for Kutateladze, but do not sleep on Brenner because this guy is down and can get you in one of those positions, create a submission, get the dub, really start riding on the UFC. But I'm expecting violence out the jump. That's why you need to tune into this fight right here, Derick. What do you think?
I will say that Brenner fight against Zubaira Tukhugov, where he got the split decision, let's just say there's a lot of guys in Khabib's camp that were a little upset about that one. But with that being said, smash spot, man. Guram Kutataladze has everything to lose here, everything to lose here, nothing to win. But the man wants to fight, and you have to commend that. All right, man, let me talk about my sleeper right here, which is literally along the same cloth. I mean, I'm talking about, let me see, who do we got here? Sorry, folks. There we go. Now we pull it up. All right, come on. Joe Anderson Brito versus Weston Wilson, folks. And the easiest way that I can describe this is that Joe Anderson Brito is a wrecking ball coming full steam ahead at like train speed. Like this guy is on like a fighter jet, just smashing everything in his path. Uber athlete, sick grappling, devastating power. And the guy that he's fighting in Weston Wilson is a slick jiu-jitsu guy. Lots of submissions. But what I like about this matchup is that he has the perfect style to, in a miraculous upset, actually counter and knock out Joe Anderson Brito. He has this karate style, so he sits back. Everything karate, Barry Wonder Boy-esque, comes in with the blitzing fucking 1-2s down the octagon, old school. AJ, I got to pull you in for this one because this is a reference that I cannot miss here. Who is my man? Vitor Belfort. There we go. You know the old Vitor Blitz? That's like my man Weston Wilson. Very Steven Wonderboy-esque. It's just 1-2s down the pipe. Da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Joe Anderson Brito, if last time I checked, was like a minus 1,400 favorite for this fight. I need to not... there's no sell in this fight. Brito is a unstoppable force in this matchup, and Weston Wilson can either submit him off of his back or catch him with something crazy with the karate style. That's why you need to watch it. This is a smash spot for Brito, but anything could happen. AJ, thoughts?
Hey, man, counters are what karate is best at,
That's
and
right.
if you know how to time somebody coming in, you can put their lights out. Don't sleep on it, folks, because it is a sleeper for a reason. But this could be a smash spot for Brito. I like Brito as well. It's hard to bet against a 95 thinking about it, man.
Yeah, and 69% by TKO. Like they just think they're just gonna get this dude out of here, man. But with that being said, I mean, listen, a sleeper is a sleeper, and that's your sleeper for a reason. Now, folks, let's talk about a couple of the prelims that we have to offer here on this card. So let me see. Let's get something pulled up here. All right, AJ, I'm about to share it on the screen once more, but we'll run through this and then we'll get up out of here. Not too many prelims to talk about, if I'm being honest with you, but we do have one popular one. Kevin Lee, the return of Kevin Lee, the Motown phenom. And they fed my man to the wolves. They gave him Rinat Fakhretdinov, right? And Fakhretdinov, if you don't know, I think his first win in the UFC was against Brian Battle, where he just smashed Brian Battle. Maybe it wasn't his first. I think it was. We'll find out together. Let's see. Yep. First run, Brian Battle, and he just smashed him wrestling style. And then what does Kevin Lee say? When in his pre-fight presser, he says, you know what? It feels good to be back. You know what also? This guy, Renat, he might not be well known. People might be sleeping on him, but I look at him as like a Hamzat Chimaev type character. And I was like, you know what, Kevin Lee? It's really good that you're respecting this dude like that. Now, Kevin Lee, we know him for his wrestling as well, right? So what are the odds that he could stave off just the nonstop, relentless grappling of Fakhretdinov and make this, an old school Kevin Lee fight?
That's an interesting one, Derek. I think the odds are a little lower than Kevin Lee's camp would like to think, especially because he's aging in that bit. We all know the power stays with age, but the speed kind of goes away, especially in the fights we've seen him have in Eagle FC and stuff. Kevin Lee really needs that vigor to come back. Can he get it done? I think it's a slim pickings. What about you?
Well, here's the thing. Here's my thing about this is that Kevin Lee, it seems like, he's been gone forever. He went to Eagle FC. He's had all these fights. My man had one fight since leaving the UFC, and it was in Eagle FC, and it was against Diego Sanchez for whatever reason. And did it look good? No. Did he win? Yes. But it's basically been like a 3-year layoff, essentially, right? So we don't know. I think there's a lot of unknowns about Kevin Lee. We know that at his peak, this man can do some devastating things. And he even mentioned that the last time that he felt that he performed well was after that highlight KO over Gregor Gillespie against Charles Oliveira. So, I mean, with that being said, bro, I'm hoping that he can get a win just for the good times and, like the good feelings. But Fakhretdinov is not a man you really want to be matched up with at this stage of your career. Give me Fakhretdinov and give me just a devastating decision. You know what I mean? I'm hoping Kevin Lee can squeak one out to the judges. What do you think?
I like Fakhretdinov, and I like the decision call. That's respect for Kevin Lee, man. This dude is a dog as well. Fakhretdinov's a new animal over here.
Yeah. And then only two more that I want to touch base on, man. We have Yana Santos, the return of Yana Santos against Carol Hossa. And this one, AJ, I have to be honest. This is going to be my honesty moment real quick, man. I've been very high on Carol Hossa for a very long time, man. And it just seems like she got to that top 15 of a division that is not very deep, right? This is at 145, so this isn't a division that doesn't count. But she kind of got to the top 15 of a division that's not very deep, and she just kind of just hung out around there, right? So if you look at the last fight that she fought in, I was very disappointed because, of course, I was rooting for her, but it was against Norma Dumont, who was like, might as well be the 145 GOAT at this point. You know, Norma Dumont, I don't think she takes any fights at any other weight class. But the point is, Carol Hossa seems to just kind of be like stalling out at this point. I think this is a very winnable fight for Yana Santos, who's trying to get back on track. But with her smash style where she just clinches you up, puts you against the fence, and does her thing. Do you think she can get a win here, or does Carol Hossa finally bounce back?
I like Yana Santos in this fight, but I think it's going to be a lot harder than that with the traps that Carol Hossa presents, Derek. She's a little better on the ground than a lot of people give her credit for, but I would also agree she did fizzle once she got around that elite competition, which we all know Yana Santos is and has the potential to be, again, that elite competition.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing here is that if you look at, especially at 145, just pure strength, I think some of these girls are just bigger and stronger. And I think Norma Dumont is one of those cases. Yana Santos is definitely one of those cases right there. I'm going to take a flyer on Yana Santos in this one. And then AJ, last one. This is the one that really makes me feel bad. Remember a guy who had a lot of hype, who we said this is a future champ? Alexander Romanov, baby. Let's go. Who are they feeding him to? My man, Blagoy Ivanov? Like, geez, man. They gave him how old is Blagoy? We need to figure this out. My man is getting up there. Oh, damn, 36. My man looks like he's like 54 at least. That's all right. Blagoy, who is a very, very tough fighter. Yes, is he coming off of that loss against Marcin Tybura? He is, but this is a dude who can pick up wins, man. He can definitely pick up wins. Now, when you got an interesting matchup where Alexander Romanov, for an example, lost his last fight to Alexander Volkov, I mean, come on, that's not unexpected. I don't know. If you really thought Romanov was going to win that fight, we might not be in the, same universe we're living in. But, dude, he gets his hands on you in that first 2 minutes. Things can get ugly real quick. Blagoy Ivanov is as time tested as they come. He's fought everybody there is to fight at heavyweight. How does he fare against Alexander Romanov?
Surprisingly, Derek, I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly if we've tracked the record of these two. I like Ivanov in this fight, man, especially because he's good at defending things. He's good in a scrap. And Romanov, at least in the past, has just been a gorilla. Yeah, I know they call him King Kong, and there's a reason for that, because this dude is just a mauler. He's a gorilla in there. And Blagoy has the style, the mental fortitude, and the know-how to be able to defend that and make this a longer fight than that. But I do expect this fight to be short. I mean, we'll see if there's a finish or not. But this one, if it goes to the third round, expect some gas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'll
or
just
lack
say this.
Of gas, I should say.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was like, maybe a lack of that. But here's the biggest thing, man. Romanov, he had like slimmed down, and then inexplicably, or whatever the word is, he like gained like 30 pounds out of nowhere. So it's like, if he trims down and he's focused, like we might see something different. But if not, yeah, give me Ivanov on that one. All right, my friend, UFC Vegas 76. That was your preview show. We broke down the entire 6-fight main card. Brought you the sleepers, talked about the prelims. AJ, take us out of here.
Folks, you can see the links right down on the bottom, and we were talking about it earlier. Go hit up Derek on Twitter. Go hit me up on Twitch. All the links. Make sure you're subscribed. But the biggest thing we're talking about before, when you do go hit us up in those things, drop us in the comments, man. Say what's up. Go let us know. We're interacting because we are trying to build that community. We're nothing without y'all. So make sure you share your favorite fighter's favorite fight show to your friends. Win some money. We're looking for more unblemished records over here. So watch the show. Keep it coming. We'll be right back next week, man. I'm excited for this one. There's a lot of new potential coming into this. I'm excited, man. What do you think?
This is going to be a fun one. I'm going to let my man AJ lead us out right there. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, the Bloody Water Podcast. Mondays, Fridays. Check us out, folks. Until next time. Peace.